Listen, I did film and television studies at university for 3 years. I spent hours reading countless books and articles on subjects spanning from film all the way to television. Not a single one mentioned Hugh Grant once.
I achieved the hardest qualification across any university or college ever, a 2-1 in history. Let me tell you, the only thing that I learned was that we, as a society, have a history of denying and neglecting Hugh Grant's artistic and cultural relevance, not just in this country, but in the entire world.
I met Oscar at a Hugh Grant-themed event I put on at the Students' Union.
It felt as though Diggory and I were the only ones there, and we agreed that there was a Hugh Grant-shaped hole in academia.
We decided to put it right ourselves. We want to show people that he's an icon in acting.
We want to show people he's more than just a bumbling posh guy.
I'm Diggory Waite.
And I'm Oscar Beardmore Gray. And this is...
Taking Hugh for Granted.
Hi there, you're listening to Taking Hugh for Granted with Diggory Waite and Oscar Beardmore Gray. You know the MO by now, but if you don't, it's the podcast in which two friends watch every single film starring Hugh Grant and ask the simple question, is this film taking Hugh for granted? Is this film good on its own, or does it rely on the bumbling Brit for its acclaim? Oscar, just before we talk about any filmy stuff, how the bloody hell are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm very, very well, mate. I woke up this morning with a smile on my face because I knew it was podcast recording day. So that is a really great way to start off my week. And I actually woke up at about, it was probably about 7:30 in the morning. And I only had 2 messages this morning, and they were both from you. And one of them was saying that you'd had a dream about me. I don't know if you want to go into that dream, Diggory.
Yeah, I had a dream that Oscar had sent me his itinerary, giving me all the places in which he has time to fit podcast recording in. Great dream. That's a great dream. Also, he gave me the unfortunate news, though, that a lot of his time is being taken up because, Oscar, your parents in my dream were fostering a recovering heroin addict. So a lot of your time was being taken up with that. And before I could fully explore that in my dream, the door was opened. My friend Robin Niven came in. He's a friend of mine from secondary school. I haven't seen him in years. And my mum was behind him. And my mum says, Robin has something to tell you. And Robin, with tears in his eyes, says to me, I love you, Diggory. I'm in love with you. And that's when I knew it was a dream and I woke up.
I was looking at this message and I was like, Robin Niven. Should I know who this guy is? You sent the message with such confidence that I was kind of like, fuck, I don't know who that is. But like, I can't be able to reply properly, so I'll just be like, yeah, hope not. Hope that's not the case. And then I looked him up, and it was like some weird a New Zealand cricketer from 1860. And I know that Diggory has just recently started getting into cricket because of the World Cup and the Ashes. But I was like, has he just been like studying the Wisden cricketer manual for like the last 6 weeks or something? And now that he knows all these obscure cricketers from the 1860s. But clearly, I was wrong. So I'm kind of glad because let's be honest, if you were doing that, I'd be a bit concerned for you.
Yeah, that would be super niche.
Well, you know, Robin, if you're listening, you might be surprised to hear your name on the podcast. But you know, get back in contact with Diggory, see if there's any love to be kindled there. You never know.
Exactly.
The Bengali Night, directed by Nicolas Klotz and released in 1988. Allan, played by Hugh Grant, is an engineer working in 1930s Calcutta, India. He's invited to stay with the family of his Indian boss, which includes his wife, Indara, and daughter, Gayatri. After accepting the offer, Allan becomes entangled in a forbidden romance with his employer's daughter. As their passion ignites, cultures clash, which leads to surprising and tragic consequences.
I mean, I think we should just head into some of those reviews that we read online straight away, just to give people an overview of what they're going to get into.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is probably not going to be a film where we give glowing reviews, even to Hugh. Unfortunately, I don't. Like we were saying, I don't want to sit here bashing him, but it's a pretty mediocre film. I'm going to start off with the only positive review I could find online. So I was scrolling through Amazon. And this person says, the dialogue is so profound that you'll find yourself backing up the disc now and then to hear the imparted words of wisdom again. Add to this wonderful script the exotic urban landscape of India and the near hypnotic soundtrack. You'll find yourself lost in a world of images. This is a true hidden cinematic gem waiting to be discovered.
I think you've read out a review for a completely different film. We're talking about the Bengali Night. There's no chance that had any sort of good plot or hypnotic sense about it, because it was a bag of shite. So if you could next time, Oscar, I'm really glad that you went to try and find some reviews. But let's make sure they're of the film that we're watching. I don't know what they were smoking, to be honest.
Well, I know what they were smoking, because this is another review from another Amazon buyer who unfortunately spent their good money on this film. I found this film to be a conglomeration of eccentric characters poorly portrayed. The editor must have been on drugs.
There we go, they were smoking drugs.
Another person says, horrible, one of the worst movies ever. Plotline is stupid, quality is poor, description is misleading. I rented this movie because it starred Hugh Grant. Good lad.
Wait.
Even Hugh couldn't save it. It. If I could give it 0 out of stars, I would. Don't waste your money. Did you find any reviews? You looked on YouTube, is that right, Diggs?
The full film is on YouTube. And we have one review here. Bogus. Flop, flop, flop. So that's quite a good review. But mostly what they're saying on YouTube is it's not at all like the novel La Nuit Bengali. I think that everyone's just saying to understand the film, you have to read the novel. Awesome novel. Film does not reflect that. I don't get it. What kind of ending was that? I am really disappointed. So, yeah, people not too happy with this film. And Oscar, I guess your own personal views, you're not too happy with it either.
I'm not. I mean, I think I would go along with this final review that I have here, which is given 1 out of 5 stars. The headline being just awkward, only for die-hard fans of Hugh Grant. Good job with die-hard fans then, hey.
Come on.
It's actually a very long review, but at the very end it says, if you love Hugh Grant and want to see something from his early days, then this might be an interesting watch. That's, I guess we would fall into that category. He has a rather odd accent in this film, and it does show him getting his acting chops. Everyone else should probably stay away from this film like the plague.
Well, you're listening to Hugh Grant taking Hugh for granted on the radio. Hugh Grant taking Hugh for granted. Oh, the podcast show.
What do we think about Hugh Grant in this film?
It's not his finest work, it's got to be said. It's really nice that Hugh is the protagonist in this film, and we see him sort of 15 seconds into the film. He's staying in a dormitory in Calcutta, and he's just wearing what you would expect. He's wearing a grey suit, a grey shirt, which has sort of got a few buttons undone. But Diggory, what did you make of what came out of his mouth?
This, I believe, belongs to you.
Yes, it does. I cut myself in shaving this morning, so... Anyway, I've taken a big liberty and brought a friend. He's a very famous journalist who's just stopping in Calcutta for 2 days.
Lucien Metz, I'm delighted to meet you, Mr. Sen.
The location of where his accent is meant to be based on changes location every clause, maybe even less than that, every half of a clause. His voice sounded like Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory. All over the place. And this is the problem. Okay, the accent... Where's he from? We have no idea. It doesn't. The accent, I can't place where it's meant to be from.
I mean, yeah, I was suggesting I suggest it might have been trying to do some kind of American accent, but in my notes I wrote it sounds like he has a hamster stuck up his arse.
Yeah.
So
pulling the strings and like going high, going low. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, but the thing is as well is what's great about the accent. Two things. Well, if it is American, can I just say, you know, mate. But the only one I could think of, it was maybe meant to be Romanian, because I think that the author is Romanian of the book that this film is based on. Other than that, I have absolutely no clue. And the fact that we're saying Romanian could be mixed up with American shows you how bizarre this accent is. Also, what's mad about the accent is that he sort of drops it halfway through the film.
I have given orders by telephone that you are to be dismissed as of this very day. I invited you into my house because I thought that together we could build something between our two cultures. Instead of that, you have destroyed my family, and above all, the faith I had in the West.
Yeah, that's what I was literally about to say. That it's almost like they filmed this movie in two halves. One half where Hugh is putting on the accent, the other half where he's not, and suddenly the directors are kind of like, shit, it's not really working out for you, Hugh, and they didn't have the budget to refilm the first half or something.
Yeah, like, exactly.
It's really terrible. And like you said, like if it's an American accent, like any respected British actor can probably do an American accent, and. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he was trying to do an American accent here.
Yeah, I'm inclined to just, if we're speaking about Hugh Grant as a whole, his character in this film, you know, much like the accent, I think is left wanting. We don't really learn too much about him. And to be honest, what we do learn towards the end of the film, I don't really particularly like. Not necessarily that you have to like main characters, but I think this one you are meant to root for, and I didn't really like who he was.
I mean, we all know Hugh's a great bloke, but this character's not a great bloke.
No, not at all. And like I say, I don't know whether the accent, the performance as well, I don't know to what extent that is the fault of the director, the writer, or Hugh. And I, as you know, and we both know, Hugh is one of the greatest actors ever to grace the earth. So I'm going to have to say the director and writer are going to take some writers, should I say, take some serious flack in this film, because the character isn't very likable, and I don't root for the at least his half of the love story. Whereas Gayatri actually, again, you know, not the best written or the best performance, but her character was a lot more likable than Hugh's.
It was, and there was a lot more character development on her side. I mean, what could we say about Hugh's character, about him as a person? I have absolutely no idea the context behind his character. I mean, you could pretty much start this film 30 minutes in. It was that bad. I mean, what do we even know about Hugh as a person, or Alan, should I say?
Yeah, I like that every time we've done an episode of this, we never refer to the character name, we just call him Hugh, which I think is that is good. We should keep that up. That's perfect. Yeah. But we haven't learned anything about Hugh. That I totally agree. And like you say, we have half an hour of this film before Gayatri and Hugh properly have a conversation and they properly meet.
Well, it's just also like the most basic plot line of all plot lines ever. Like, you know, basically it's a guy falls in love with a girl he shouldn't fall in love with. Dad gets stroppy about it, sends him away. They're both sad. End of the film. And there's literally nothing else to it. And this has absolutely nothing going for it.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. I mean, I'd probably like to go and read the book. Well, I don't want to read the book, but I hope the book is better. Otherwise, I don't know who the hell even thought it was a good idea to make a movie out of this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, the love the book is getting from the adoring fans that we've seen writing reviews and stuff, fair play. Maybe it's a good book, but like you say, the film really leaves it wanting. Because, like you say, a love story like that has been done 1,000 times. Romeo and Juliet is basically exactly the same thing. Avatar, Pocahontas, you know, all of these films. It's just, yeah, it's like
Johnny English.
I love that. Yes. Oh. These are films where, yeah, love stories, they're told 1,000 times, but there's things, I think one of the main things is that you probably like the characters who are in love and you're rooting for them, especially Hugh Grant's character in this. Unfortunately, he's a bit grabby. He's a bit like, there's a bit where she says, oh, I'm in love with someone else. He smacks the table like a proper incel, angry that he can't get the woman that he wants.
So, you sleep okay?
I did not sleep at all. I think it is time you leave our house. That's why I asked you to meet me here. You're wrong to think that I love you in the way you imagine. For a long time, my soul has belonged to Tagore, my guru. I have been in love with him since the age of 12, ever since I started reading his books. I have a chest full of letters that he has sent to me from every part of the world. Not a day passes that I do not think of him or dedicate a poem to him.
That for me effectively is his character in this film, because also from the first 30 minutes, that's actually one thing we do learn, is that he's constantly sending love letters to some girl on the street, and that's and she doesn't fancy him at all. And he's loving it. It's proper incel behaviour. I really don't like his character at all.
Stop me, oh, stop me. Stop me if you think that you've heard this one before.
Stop. We've heard it before.
If there's a film that you want to put 1.5 times, or give it a bit of a speed up, so you don't have to sit through 1 hour and 47 minutes of this stuff, then unfortunately this is the one, ladies and gentlemen. I admit, Diggory, I did put it in 1.25 for a large majority of the film.
I did exactly the same thing. The last half an hour, it had to be sped up. It had to be done. That's damning in itself. So really, the film properly starts 35 minutes in, and we have, I think, quite a good, for the Hugh Grant fans, quite a nice scene.
Are we talking about the PE scene?
We are talking about the PE scene.
The PE scene. Look, if there was one scene that you were going to grab out of the archives for our compilation of Hugh Grant epic moments from early in his career, this would probably slide in somewhere. So Hugh is as if he's in a sort of year 6 PE kit. He's got white shorts. When you go to PE in like year 6 and you this is for me anyway. My mum put like my shorts above my belly button, and then like you put your long white socks on, and you got your shitty t-shirt on. Yeah, Hugh's got that, and then he's got his curtains looking great. And then there's a few Hugh Grantisms. I can't remember what he says. He says, yes, well, very much. I was just wearing my t-shirt and shorts.
Would you like me to show you what there is?
Yes, very much. Thank you. Can I go up like this? I'm just wearing my t-shirt and shorts. Oh, God, what a mess.
It's a nice Hugh Grant moment. He's dropped the accent. We're back to bumbling Brit. His hair's all over the place. He's wearing a funny outfit. That's a great bit of Hugh Grant.
It's a really nice one for the records. Go to minute 35, roughly, of this film. Watch 2 minutes and then close your laptop
and get out of
the
there.
tab.
Close your laptop and burn it.
Are you a business owner? Are you running a political campaign? Are you a furniture outlet having yet another sale? If the answer to any of those questions isn't no, then you can have your advertisement right here. The Taking You for Granted podcast gets over 100 listeners every single episode. For prices starting as low as 6 figures, you can have your advertisement right here. So what are you waiting for? Email takingyouforgranted@gmail.com today for a full price list, and you can have your advertisement right here.
There's another nice moment there where I thought I might test out your French, Diggory, because we have Hugh Grant talking another language for the first time, I think.
We do indeed, yes. Yes, what a curious scene. Now, I'm interested to see what you think of this.
Je suis une jeune fille.
Je suis une jeune fille.
Non, je suis une jeune fille.
Je suis une jeune fille.
Okay, try this, it's easier. Je vais visiter Paris. Okay? Je vais visiter Paris.
Well, I mean, his French is better than my French, because I gave up French when I was in, I think the last French I did was in year 8, and I was I wanted to do my French oral on Didier Drogba.
Yeah.
And I remember what do I say in that again? I was like, I can't even remember what. Okay, this is bad because the only thing that's coming into my head is je suis, and then after that I'm a bit stumped.
Je suis Didier Drogba.
But I'm obviously not Didier Drogba, so that's wrong.
Oh no! Oh dear!
But yeah.
What did you get in your French?
Well, I did Common Entrance French, and I think I got a C. So that wasn't much good.
I got a D.
Did you do GCSE?
I did GCSE. I got a D.
You got a D.
Yeah, I got a D.
So, mate, that's not great.
It's not great.
Do your best French accent for us then. Say what he says.
Me. What does he say? What does he say again? Je suis Didier Drogba.
Je suis une jeune fille, I think.
That was good.
Je vais visiter Paris.
Oh, oui. See, that's all good stuff.
Oui.
So he's teaching Guy. It's like kind of meant to be like a kind of saucy scene. Well, not saucy, but it's meant to be them. He's teaching Gayatri French.
Well, going back to your GCSE, what were you expecting to get in French GCSE?
I mean,
was a D on the cards, or were you happy with
absolutely.
a D?
Absolutely. Oh, mate, I suppose I was happy with a D. Like, honestly, my French lessons were a joke. We had a new teacher, and at some point, and I think she just realised quite quickly that I was just not. Do you know what? I'm actually being honest. I think she was quite scared of me after a while, because everything that she did that was not by the book, I wrote down in my homework diary, and I'd write the minute and exactly what she did, and I showed her this, and she was terrified. And there was a bit when we were preparing for our oral, and she went around everyone in the class and said, "Oh, let's talk about your oral." She skipped me out. I genuinely think that she just wasn't having it. So getting a D, I'm pretty proud of. I got a B in every single GCSE I did, and I got let down by a D. My French was dreadful. What I will say about this scene is Hugh Grant is meant to be teaching Gayatri French, and it's their first proper long drawn out scene where they're meant to like have a bit of rapport and stuff. It just seems like they hate each other. Just seems like they absolutely hate, and not in a fun way. It really doesn't help me get behind their love story at all.
No, and I wrote in my notes, but then he falls in love with her. It seems so weird. There's no context or lead up. Yeah, it doesn't seem like he likes her at all. And then he's suddenly like, "I love you, Gayatri," and then she's like, "I don't love you," and then like 2 minutes later she's like, "I love you," and you're like, "Okay, there was nothing to suggest that you actually did like her." Or she liked you.
The only thing that happened is he read her poetry and then was now obsessed with her. And then he says, "I love you." She says, "I don't." He starts grabbing her and being weird. And then suddenly she fancies him.
I know, yeah.
Oh, blimey. Yeah. And I mean, we can't escape it as well. But the fact that there's a moment when Gayatri's sitting there with her younger sister, who's very, very young. Hugh Grant's there as well. Hugh Grant's got his bloody hand up her shirt.
Did you feel Alan's hand touching you?
Don't be stupid, Nilu. It was my hand.
No, it wasn't.
That was the best. I mean, I don't want to say it's the best moment of the film, but it was definitely the most. It was the biggest eyebrow raiser of the film. Like I've been sitting there on my bed for, at this point, an hour and 20 minutes, and this is the first point where I was like, "Oh fuck, okay, I better wake up." What? What are you doing?
What are you doing?
And he's just like groping her. It's just fucking weird.
Yeah. Oh, and that's how the cat gets let out the bag. Because then her little sister then tells her mum and says, he had his hand on her breast. How are we supposed to get behind Hugh Grant? How are we supposed to get behind his character?
And you know what was actually also disappointing about this film is that at least I was expecting a grandstand finish. You know, I was expecting a murder. I was expecting someone to pull out a gun, Hugh Grant to like die in a really like morose way.
Yeah.
And then like there's no death. And
there's
I was
no
like,
death. Also, they don't even run off into the sunset together.
I mean, the only silver lining, I guess you say, is that you get to see Hugh Grant in a wife beater. Or, I mean...
Oh, yes. Yeah.
For the first time in Hugh Grant's brief acting career up to now. And, he's looking pretty good, actually. Very sweaty.
Very sweaty. I think it was like it was showing off his release from the house and like the loss of his job and the loss of his lovely lady friend, and he's there in the wife beating. And I'm not gonna lie, he's looking very, very good. He's looking great. So that was a nice finish in some ways for the Hugh Grant fans.
Taking he for granted. Taking he for granted. Taking he for granted. What did you think, lads? Were they taking he for granted?
Blimey. Well, I mean, is this film taking Hugh for granted? Absolutely yes, in my opinion. This film, without Hugh Grant, is not something I would recommend to watch.
I think Hugh would probably admit this to himself now, that this is not his finest piece of work, and I would not wish anyone to waste 2 hours of their life watching it. So
even on 1.5 speed.
I know, yeah, and I think the producers and the directors and the writers have really taken Hugh for granted here, because he's got a lot more to offer than this, and they've clearly forced an accent upon him. They forced a really, really poor cinematic production on him. A really poor character that has no development in the entire film on him.
Absolutely.
And a really, really terrible narrative. And yeah, I'm surprised I could even find this online to watch, because I don't think anyone would have wasted their time putting it online.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that. I mean, I couldn't agree more. Like you say, the team behind it have taken you for granted. They let him down. You're absolutely right.
We're looking forward to the next episode.
Yeah, big time. But this is one of those times we have to hang up. This is why we've done this. You know, there's been a lot of success stories so far in the series, but this is exactly why we're doing it. We've got to find out those ones where he is being taken for granted and show them up for what they are. But I guess on to the next one. We go again next Saturday. Bye, everyone.
Again. Yeah, bye. For copyright reasons, the producers of Taking Hugh for Granted would like to state that this podcast is in no way associated with the actor Hugh John Mungo Grant, nor does it endorse his views or represent him in any way. We simply review Mr. Grant's films and hope to shine light upon some of the lesser-known classics from his illustrious career. Hugh, if you're listening, we hope you approve.